Hello, my name is Amanda Dekker, and this is my research presentation for MLE502. My research question is, how can I enhance my science instruction through project-based inquiry learning? At my school, we are currently in the process of transitioning to the next generation science standards, and I feel that project-based real-world learning is at the heart of the NGSS, and in order to implement the new standards correctly, I will have to use this type of learning in my classroom. I will start by talking about what project-based learning is and how it differs from traditional learning. I will then tell you about the research supporting this type of learning and the benefits for the students. I will then give a science-based example of how to start implementing project-based learning into any classroom. I came across a TED Talk in my research that explained what project-based learning is and why we should be using it in the classroom, and the narrator said something that really stuck with me. He said most adults live in a world of projects. Whether it is job assignments, home improvements, or planning a wedding, we need to actively solve problems. So if this is true, why are we not teaching our students to be active problem solvers? What is project-based learning? It is very different from a traditional classroom where students read a text, study vocabulary words, hear a lecture, and take a test over what they have learned. According to BIE.org, project-based learning is a teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to engaging and complex question, problem, or challenge. Through project-based learning, we introduce three very important skills to our students: critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. With this type of learning, students are not given facts and dates that they need to memorize and recall. Instead, they are given real-world problems that affect us all. They need to learn about these problems through their own research and try to come up with creative solutions. They need to start to think and learn differently. Students will also need to communicate their research and ideas effectively. Communication is a part of everyday life and is an important skill for students to have before they leave school. Collaboration is also a big part of adult life. Most jobs require collaboration of some kind, and giving our students the tools to collaborate effectively will set them up for success in the future. The NGSS shifts the focus of our classrooms from a random string of science facts and vocabulary to a three-dimensional approach to learning where facts and ideas are explored through science and engineering practices and connections are made across sciences are made through cross-cutting concepts. Project-based learning is one way to bring three-dimensional learning to life in our science classrooms. Within a project, students can engage in all of the science and engineering practices. All project-based learning starts with a question to be answered or a problem to solve. In order to answer that question, students need to plan some sort of investigation. From that investigation, the students will collect data that they will need to analyze and interpret. They will then need to develop a claim or a solution, and they will need to back that claim up with evidence they collected in their investigation. They will then need to collaborate with their peers, teachers, and members of the community to share the results from their investigations. Finally, they will need to produce products based on their investigations. These products can take the form of models that they have developed or explanations that they have constructed over time. When we use broad but relevant driving questions, students can research the same question from different perspectives and start to make connections between the sciences. By using project-based learning, we can bring NGSS to life in the classroom and get our students actively engaged in doing science. Because there are so many different definitions and ideas of what project-based learning is, it is a difficult topic to study and research effectively. To date, there have not been very many studies done to determine the outcomes of project-based learning. However, the few studies that have been done have been promising. A study done by Bowler in 2002 found that after only 3 years of project-based learning instruction, the students performed significantly better than more traditional-based students in math skills in both conceptual and applied knowledge, and performed better on national tests. The Cognitive and Technology Group at Vanderbilt University conducted a study in 1992 on students who were working collaboratively on simulated real-world problems that focused on applying mathematical knowledge and problem solving, and found that these students were much better at solving word problems and planning. Both studies found that project-based learning students had lower anxiety and more positive attitudes towards math. The Buller study also found that the link between performance and student economic level disappeared in the project-based school, while the link increased in the traditional school. There have been several studies done between 2003 and 2009 that are specifically on project-based learning in middle-level schools, and they all show promising results. They have found that students who are engaged in project-based learning have received higher test scores on curriculum-aligned tests than students who receive traditional instruction, as well as higher standardized test scores and increased academic achievement. These studies also found that students had better collaboration and metacognitive skills and a deeper understanding of the science concepts that were studied. Students who were in a project-based learning environment were also better behaved in class and more confident in their abilities. However, project-based learning is not all sunshine and roses. There are many challenges teachers face when trying to implement this type of instruction. Most of the studies that have been done on project-based learning have focused on well-developed programs where the entire curriculum is taught in this manner. There is little research that has been done on projects created and implemented by individual teachers. This type of instruction takes time, and time is not always something we have a lot of in our classes. But time is something that is very important to the success of project-based learning. If another question comes up in a student's research, they need time to explore that question. Pressure to cover curriculum topics goes hand in hand with time. There are certain things that we are told we need to cover within our school year, and we need to keep pushing on even when we feel like a topic needs more time. One major drawback to project-based learning is that without a clear purpose and strong connections to the curriculum, it can become just another string of activities with no real learning happening. To prevent this, teachers need good professional development to learn how to implement project-based learning correctly and need to devote more planning time than with a traditional class. Students also need explicit instructions on how to collaborate and need to be held accountable for their learning and participation. We cannot simply put students in a group, give them a question to research, and give them free rein for 2 weeks and expect to get a good result. Research has identified 4 key components to successfully implementing project-based learning. The first component is about project design. The project needs to be aligned to the content we want the students to learn to be successful. The project also needs to be relevant to the students' lives if we want them to be invested in it. The task needs to be clearly defined for the students. They need to have clear expectations for what they should be doing with their class time. We also need to help students reflect on their learning. We can do this by creating multiple opportunities for the students to check their project and make adjustments accordingly. The second component is on structured collaboration. Students should have team goals as well as individual accountability. All group members should be assigned roles and progress should be documented. Teachers need to meet with groups regularly to make sure progress is on task and students are meeting deadlines. The third component is about how to use assessment in a way that supports students' success. Assessment needs to be ongoing with feedback given regularly. This helps students to know if they are meeting expectations or if they need to make adjustments, and also helps teachers to learn what their students' needs are and how to help them succeed. Summative assessments should not only test the content knowledge, but also reasoning skills, problem solving, and collaboration. The fourth component is on professional development for teachers. In order for teachers to implement project-based learning effectively, they need to be trained in doing so. Without the correct training, project-based learning will not work the way we intend it to. Over the next few slides, I will discuss an example of project-based learning in the classroom. I found this project through the Buck Institute for Education's website. This project is called I Feel the Earth Move Under My Feet and is a project for middle-level physical science. The project idea presented is that students will prepare a presentation and a handout illustrating the theory of plate tectonics and its effect on geologic events. Through various scientific disciplines, students will research, examine evidence, and organize arguments to support and explain the theory of plate tectonics and determine Earth structure and composition. The question proposed to students at the beginning of the project is, you are a geologist working for an insurance company that has been contacted by a major architectural firm to insure its holdings throughout the world, including California, Japan, Eastern Africa, and Chile. Your group is to research Earth structure and the movement of tectonic plates and how they relate to geologic events, such as earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. You will then make a presentation to the underwriters of your insurance company recommending whether or not to insure the architectural firm. The time frame set out for this project is 20 to 25 days. For the summative assessment, the students in their groups need to create a brochure and a presentation on whether or not they think the insurance company should insure the architectural firm. They put this together over time by doing research on the topics associated with this project and several labs and simulations they complete over the duration of the projects. They do these in groups, but are each required to hand in individual work. Students are given individual grades as well as group grades, and rubrics for assessing the students are also provided. Students also need to assess their peers on how well each of them contributed to the group. I have taught the concept of plate tectonics a few times, and students always ask me why they need to know this. Through this project, students will not only learn the content, but they will also learn why it is important and how it could affect them. They will also learn about the different jobs that require this type of knowledge and how it can be used in the real world. I think this is a great website, and they have many project-based learning outlines, just like this one, on many different areas. It's a great resource to have. Here's a list of all the resources I used in this project. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and thanks for watching.